Welcome into another edition of Anything But Mid. I'm your host, Ian Sachs from Mid-Major Madness, and a couple of mid-majors picked up some wins over ranked teams. We'll get into those in just a moment. Then we have big news out of Myrtle Beach from the Coastal Carolina program. And finally, I have a conversation with a UT Arlington assistant coach. You definitely don't want to miss that. But before we get to all of that, some big headlines from around the week, and we start with those top 25 wins. We start on Tuesday night, GCU knocking off San Diego State, the 25th ranked Aztecs, 79-73. It's the first win over a top 25 team in GCU program history. The Lopes were a big factor in that one at GCU Arena, helping to power GCU to that first ever win in program history. Then a couple of days earlier, it was UNC Wilmington who knocked off number 12 Kentucky at Rupp Arena, 80-73. The first win over a ranked team since 2002 for the program. Trezarian White, absolutely incredible in this game. Career high 27 points to go along with 10 rebounds for a double-double. Then our third headline from the week, Cliff Ellis retiring after 17 seasons at Coastal Carolina, retiring mid-season. We'll dive a little bit more into why he decided to hang it up at this point in our next segment. Time to expand a little bit more on Cliff Ellis deciding to retire after 49 seasons as a college head coach, 833 wins at the Division I level, then also picked up a couple wins at the NAIA level, so over 900 wins for his entire head coaching career. Prior to Coastal Carolina, had stops at South Alabama as well as Clemson and Auburn, led the Auburn Tigers to a number 1 seed right around the turn of the century, but spent the last 17 years of his career at Coastal Carolina, won the most games of any stop in his career with the Chanticleers, and was big in leading them from the Big South Conference to the Sun Belt Conference. And in his press conference announcing his retirement on Wednesday, said that was one thing that he took a lot of pride in, helping to build the Sun Belt to where it is today. But of course, as the changing landscape happens in the college basketball world, that was one major reason why he decided to hang it up. He just turned 78 on Tuesday, and two things that he pointed to were NIL and the transfer portal. Now, the Chanticleers lost several players over the last couple of years to the transfer portal, and he said, those are two challenges that I just cannot overcome in my career. So a tip of the cap to Ellis for his career. Benny Moss named the interim head coach there. Finally, one last segment for this show, and we dive into, play a little clip from my interview with UT Arlington assistant coach Keith Perkins. Have the full interview on midmajormadness.com, but just to dive a little bit into it here, he played at Missouri State and then started his coaching career there. Was a grad assistant for 2 years, then elevated to assistant coach before jumping over to Southeast Missouri and ultimately now taking part in the UT Arlington program. He is in his first year with UTA, so we dive into his career path, his playing career, and a really interesting story about what led him into the coaching career. When you characterize your playing career, battling through so many injuries, how did that adversity help to shape you into the person that you are today?
When I got injured, it was after my freshman year at college. I got injured. I was able to understand, hey, injuries like this are really hard to bounce back from. I ruptured, a tendon in my knee, and I knew I was going to be limited. And as I started to work back, I could feel my limitations. So I had to start thinking, what was going to be next for me. And it's when, my sophomore year I set out, I took the role of understanding things from a coach's perspective, kind of seeing how they move and, what goes on a day-to-day, what the coaches do. I just kind of fell in love with that and opportunities that they give to young men.
Well, great stuff there from Coach Perkins. Again, you can read the full interview that I did with him on midmajormadness.com. So another busy, full week of mid-major hoops. Can't wait to see what happens this week, and we'll talk to you again next week.
Thank you.